Hey Brandon, thanks a lot for your question. So my day-to-day is really that I look at our data and I try and put together stories for our media partners. So it's a lot of looking at players, looking at teams, looking at different trends that they have going on, and finding ways to create insights for our media partners that then you might see if you were, say you're watching a broadcast and a graphic pops up and they're giving you some interesting ideas on it, and there's a little logo up on the top that says Sportlogiq. That's sort of what I'm looking to do on a day-to-day basis, is finding those little tidbits of ideas that they can use in their broadcast to just make it a little more interesting for what you're watching and help you understand the game a little bit better. Hey Izzy, yeah, so when I go about trying to find a story, part of it is I go and watch the game. So, I'm watching a game at night, I see something that happens, kind of go, oh, well, that was an interesting play. And so then, I start looking through the data and see if I can quantify why I thought that was interesting. And so, say it's a really interesting face-off play that resulted in a goal. Well, so, let's look into seeing whether or not the centerman is, good at these face-offs, or where does he win his face-offs to regularly. There's this new rule with icing where on icing you can choose which dot you want to take it from. So was he taking one, did he choose that dot that's actually his strong side, or is he better on his weaker side and it just turned out that he won that face-off? So I think part of it is just watching the game and using my hockey background to see stories that I think are interesting. But then I also, sometimes I'll just be looking through the data and see something that just pops out as like, oh, well, that's kind of, I didn't really expect that. And that's where then you go in it, you pull the thread, see if anything more comes out of it. And you know what? You get in a lot of rabbit holes that turn out to be absolutely nothing. But, they always start somewhere with a little bit of intrigue, and you see if there's a story there. Hey Nick, thanks a lot for the question. Yeah, I still play the game, but beer league, so, bear with me a little bit. But one of the big things I find is that I'm not worried as much when I'm in my own defensive zone. I understand that if I can keep someone to the exterior and those less dangerous areas, they don't really have as much effect on the play. So, if I go into a corner with somebody and they have the puck, and I can just contain them, keep them to the outside where there's really nothing for them to do, then I'm a whole lot less worried about them trying to score on me, and I'm actually more thinking about how I can put them in a position where I can, quick strike attack them, that I can then go right back out onto offense. So say, a player's coming up on the cycle and I'm just, keeping them on the outside, no problem. They're on their backhand, have no play other than to cycle it. Well, that's where I might, okay, let them think that they have lots of room, and then quick jump, poke it past them, and then you're out on the offense. And I think it's one of those things that when I was, when I was playing a little bit more competitively and I was on the defensive side, I was always thinking like, okay, gotta get, I can't let him get anywhere. I gotta pin him up against the boards, and I can't give him any space whatsoever, otherwise we're gonna get beat. And I've since realized that that's not necessarily true, and you're actually just wasting a lot of energy in trying really hard to not let that guy have absolutely anything, when actually it's okay if they have a little bit of something. You just have to pick and choose what you're giving and make sure that piece that you give is actually just, a very undangerous play. Hey Peter, thanks a lot for the question. One of the real big things that my boss, Mike Kelly, likes to say a lot is that you want to be able to use analytics in a broadcast in a way where the listener doesn't realize that they're being fed analytics. So like a perfect example would be, say Mark Stone. Say he were to pick off a pass and they go back the other way and score a goal. He actually did it not long ago off it was a center ice draw, lost the draw, and he just picked off a pass, went in on a breakaway. Well, Mark Stone leads the league in block passes. So that's something that you can just kind of slip in there, and it's an added little data point that really reinforces just how good he is. But, you know, if you were to say it in the sense that, like, you know, Mark Stone, he has an unbelievable stick. He reads the play really well and actually leads the league in block passes. At no point there, as a listener, are you looking at that and going, oh, here we go, just a bunch of analytics. You don't even notice that it's happening. And I think that's really the best way, is that it's a completely seamless addition to your broadcast, that as a listener, I learn more, but it's not just being force-fed to me. Hey Shannon, thanks for your question, although I really didn't appreciate you making me have to go look at my stats on lead prospects. It turns out at 72 goals in 60 games while pro, I believe. The biggest thing I find for scoring goals, and I think we talk about it a lot with analytics, is kind of getting to those dangerous areas, the slot, the inner slot. But I don't think that it's really that you need to be shooting from those areas. We talk a lot about how shots from the outside are not necessarily as dangerous, and that's perfectly true, but I think it's a lot more getting to the goalie and taking away the goalie's vision. So you can take a shot from the point that's just a complete muffin, it's just a floater coming in, but if the goalie can't see it and it goes to an area where the goalie's not covering it, it's going in. So I think that's really the biggest thing, is that you need a constant collaboration between the three people on your line, where you don't necessarily want just one person standing in front trying to screen the whole time, battling with a defenseman, because that basically just takes that player out of the play, and you have one less person to cycle the puck around with and create plays off of. What you really want is kind of all three of you just kind of taking runs at going through the goalie's vision, and then if you're the one with the puck, you need to find those times where you see your player coming, they get into that position where a goalie can't see, maybe a defenseman's also on them, between the two of them are completely taking away the goalie's vision, and that's when you take your shot. That's when you find those open areas, because the goalie just won't have time to react, because by the time they see the puck, it's already behind them in the net. One last thing, Shannon, I know you're playing in the PWHPA Dream Gap Tour coming up in Toronto for Team LOGIQ. I just want you to make sure that you keep your head up when you're playing Team Kessel, because my sister-in-law Em is probably going to run you over, especially if you try and get to that front of the net. You better watch your ankles. Hey Clem, thanks for the question. Obviously my favorite honored broadcast is Mike Kelly, my boss. I have no choice but to say that. So I'll give you a second choice. Ray Ferraro. I think that when he's on a broadcast, he does a fantastic job of not just narrating what's happening in the play, but he gives background as to why a player is doing certain things and how it affects the play. And so I really find that he has such a deep understanding, having been a good player, a player for a long time, and now is turned broadcaster. And he really does a great job of using his experience to explain why certain things are happening a certain way on the ice. Hey Gene, appreciate the shot at my brother. Anytime you can take a shot at him, I'm all for it. Having Emma as a part of the family, it's unbelievable. She's a great girl. It's felt like it's been years that she's been a part of our family, and it was finally made official this summer when they got married, her and Mike. We're all really proud of what she's doing with the Professional Women's Players Association. We really think it's great for the game, and we wish her all the best with what she's trying to accomplish. Hey Dave, thanks a lot for the question. I actually haven't been to either of them, but so from what I understand, Magpie, you get kind of a little bit more of a fancy Italian pizza, whereas St-Viateur is more your kind of classic, greasy, awesome pizza, which sounds more like my style. But since I haven't been to either of them, I'm gonna have to go with a third candidate here, which is Pizzeria Bros, which is a place that recently opened up near my place in Kirkland, and better go try it out because it's fantastic.